Tonight we're making shredded potato casserole, and it's now in the oven because it takes too long to make for the length of the show. And it's got about a half hour to go in the oven, maybe 20 minutes. We've got some other stuff to do, but first I want to go over the fact that it is Father's Day, and I want to wish every father out there happy Father's Day. I forgot a little bit of history on it, which we'll get into in a little while. First, I want to mention that the best part about it being Father's Day is that I'm a father, and I have 4 adult kids who I could not be more proud of. Okay, now the history of it. It was started by a lady called Sonora Smart Dobbs, who decided she wanted to honor her father. So on June 19th, 1910, she had the very first celebration. Over the decades after that, for a long time, they tried to make it a real holiday. And then in 1966, President Johnson declared that the third Sunday in June would thereafter be Father's Day. And in 1972, President Nixon signed legislation to make it a national holiday. So that's the history of Father's Day. Of sour cream. This is not the light version, though I suppose you could use the light version if you were so inclined. And in this we have a 1/4 teaspoon of white pepper and a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Let's give this a little stir around here. Now, I've never made this before. I'm not sure what it tastes like. Seems like an awful lot of sour cream. Now we're going to add some melted butter. That is 4 tablespoons of melted butter. We just stir it up until we're sure it's all mixed well. Then we're going to dump it in our casserole dish, which I hope isn't too big. I think it's going to be about right. Maybe a little bit on the small side, but not too bad. Then we're going to add some cheddar cheese. This is another part I'm not too sure about. Okay, off to the oven it goes. Okay, there we are. That's how we do the mixing and getting it in the oven. Now, there is a contradiction here in this show tonight. I just showed you putting shredded cheese from a package on the top of that casserole. I want you to know that that's probably not the way I normally would do things. And let me show you that. The question is, should you use shredded cheese? And the answer is not really. It's convenient, but it's better to shred your own cheese from a block because that doesn't have all the chemicals that this does. This has anti-clumping agents in it. Have to wonder what happened to that because it worked perfectly earlier today, of course. All right. Basically what I said, in case it didn't all play, was that it's better to buy a block of cheese, the little 1-pound package or whatever, and I think it's 8 ounce. Anyway, shred it yourself because the packaged stuff has some anti-clumping agents added to it, and that's just chemicals that we don't really need. It certainly does. I like shredding my own better. And I use a food processor, so it takes about 2 seconds. And good evening, Cheryl. Tonight's show might be short. I don't really know. I didn't time it out or anything. But I figure it's Father's Day. We're probably not going to have that many viewers. And it's hot in here. It was supposed to be thunderstorms all day today. It rained about a mile from here, but it hasn't rained here at the house other than a few sprinkles, and it's just very, very few. You could see it on the car windshield, and that was about it. Okay. Now I'm looking at my list up here. I've got 4 cameras going tonight, just mostly to see that they work, and they all do. I don't really have a reason for that tonight. Probably the overhead we'll use a little later, but when this comes out of the oven, we'll take a look at it then. Okay, I'm going to show you this week's small channel, and this is a little different because this is a faceless, voiceless clip that I was sent, along with some printed material. So I kind of put it all together in, I think it's going to be a reasonably good clip, and it's a channel that looks pretty interesting to me. So let's give it a shot. Okay, we're back. As I say every show, if you're watching and you have a small channel that you would like to have featured, you can just message me, leave a comment. Usually I have a tile right here to show you my email address. I don't tonight, but I will give it to you. It is lgringobaker@gmail.com. And I can repeat that if you'd like. Just ask in chat and I will repeat it. Almost forgot today's question. Today's question is, do white pepper and black pepper grow on the same plants, or are they totally different? We'll answer that later in the show. But you can answer it in chat, and we'll see who's right when we get to answering the question. I had a delicious lunch today, and I'm thankful to my mother-in-law because she provided it, because it's Father's Day. And it's called asado, I think. My wife will correct me if I'm wrong. Lechon, which is roast pork. And it is one of my favorite foods here, and it is absolutely incredible. Now, I meant to mention at the start of the show, and didn't, that I did some reconstruction this week. Over the last 3 days. My monitor TV, as you know, was high up on the ceiling over there. So when I was having to look at it, I was doing this. Now, I built a really nice stand, and I'll show you that in a couple of minutes. And the TV is pretty much at my eye level now, and the camera's in between the two. So mostly, you probably see me as looking more directly at the camera than normal, which is as it should be, because it's you I'm interested in. It's not a monitor up on the wall. But let me show you the same thing I showed you last week, which was my new Buy Me a Coffee ad. Now, I've had a little ad that I call my Buy Me a Coffee ad, and I don't like it. For one thing, I don't like the fact that I'm coming to you asking you to donate to support the channel, but I really don't like that one because it has no personality and it's just images. If you should decide to donate to the channel, it does help me buy new equipment and updated software. And I'm going to leave ways to do that. One will be a QR code for Buy Me a Coffee, and the other one will be the email address for sending me money on PayPal should you decide you'd like to go that route. There's no obligation, of course, to donate to me, but if you do, it's greatly appreciated and it helps support the show. Thank you. Okay, now you can see the new TV stand, and I call it the production center. It is, the TV is down so that the top of it now is about 5 foot. I was going to say 5'3", but it's taller than that because it's taller than me and I'm 5'8". So it's about 6 feet probably. And it used to be way up just at the bottom of that clock. So it was pretty tall. And there's shelf there where you see the laptop. And underneath that is all of the electronic stuff. And that's the biggest modification this week. But the other modification that I made this week is I have a switch now. Hi, Linda, and thank you. I have a switch now on that end of the island that shuts off these two lights and that little lamp that you see in the back all at one time, or turns them on all at one time. Ooh, let me take a look at the casserole. And while I do that, I'm going to show you another tip. Take an onion, and the opposite side from the root end, we're going to slice it off, and then we're going to peel it back. After we've got the onion peeled, put it root side down, make some slices. Make them as far apart as you want your chunks of onion to be. And I'm going only about a ½ inch deep because I don't need that many right now. And you go all the way across, then turn it 90 degrees. Make these slices as wide as we want our pieces to be. And we go, like I said, 1/2, 3/4 of an inch for what I'm doing here. If you're a regular watcher, you saw this tip. And then, a week ago, I think, we lay our onion on its side and we slice off our little chunks. Now, casserole is out of the oven. And it was just about 40-45 minutes. So it timed out just right. It's nicely browned on the top. So here it is. Doesn't that look good? I'm going to lift it up a little bit so you can see it better. Some of that browning is because there's cheese on the top, and cheese likes to brown if the temperature gets too high, and it got a little warmer than it's supposed to. It's supposed to be 375, and it's actually more like 400 in there right now. I have this thing with ovens here in Puerto Rico. My other little gas stove, the dial is in Celsius, and I never could get that exactly right. And this one is a bigger, more powerful oven, and it has a Celsius dial, which also doesn't seem to be very accurate. I have a oven thermometer in there so that I can read it in Fahrenheit, but the oven temperature changes pretty slowly, and if I forget it for a couple of minutes, it tends to keep right on climbing until I turn it back down. Now I've turned it all the way back down to 0, so that won't be a problem. It's really quite good. Like I say, I made it earlier this week, and it disappeared. You guys remember Jose from last week? He had some of it and said he thought it was incredible. And his wife told me that it was really, really good. And even my wife said it was really good. For me, that one had a little too much cheese on it. And it wasn't browned like this. Now, this one is going to be better because I'm one of those guys who likes pizza well done. And this is comparable because it has cheese on the top, missing the pepperoni and hamburger and the onions and all the other good stuff that I put on there, bacon. My wire here tonight is fetching up and it's bugging me. When I straighten up, it tugs it in my ear. It'd be nice to have totally wireless, but we're going to let this cool a minute, and then I'm going to take a bite And I'd suggest to anybody that's close that wants to try it, come on over. As usual, I got to show you my hardworking crew. And there they all are. Let's see, anybody lay off this week? Yeah, the writer didn't do much. The engineer sure did. The janitor sure did. Dishwasher put dishes in the dishwasher, so I guess that counts. This guy did. This guy did. This guy really worked this week. And graphics to some degree. And the advisor, which tends to be ChatGPT or Claude, worked pretty hard this week as well. Now you notice I'm using the mouse and not the buttons. Some of the buttons work, and I didn't work on getting them lined up. I thought they were working earlier today, but I got too excited, I guess, and didn't notice that a couple of them still are not set up. Next week. And speaking of next week I have a small channel lined up. I have my recipe for next week, which is going to be in honor of July 4th, because next week is June 28th, egg potato salad. And I'm going to have some questions about that. I'm going to have a couple tips about things that are involved with that. And I think overall it's going to be a pretty good show next week. All right, now let's answer that question. The question you remember, I'm just noticing nobody typed in an answer. I'm going to ask the question again, and then before I reveal the answer, I'm going to give you guys another chance to answer the question. The question is, does white pepper and black pepper come from the same plant? And let's see. I'm looking through to see if there's anything I've skipped here, and I don't think there is. So like I said, this show's going to end quickly tonight. I think it's going to be a half-hour show. I'm going to break up a little piece out of the corner of this just to let it sit and cool a little bit so I can taste it. Now, I didn't think I was going to like this because it's got quite a bit of sour cream in it. And I wasn't too sure whether I'd like that or not. Turns out, it turns out that it's pretty good. It is cheesy, and the cheddar cheese I put on the top last week was a little, like I said, a little much for me. Now, in all my research, Cheryl, I did not see that statement. I did see some other statements. And okay, so now I've got two answers. I've got Linda saying, no, it is not. They are not from the same plant. And Cheryl saying, I don't know. Let's answer that question. Today's question is, do black pepper and white pepper come from the same plant? So the answer is going to surprise you, because they do. Black pepper is made from the green peppercorns. They're not ripe yet. They dry them out and then grind up the whole thing, husk and skin or whatever you call it, and all. White pepper is made from the same peppercorns after they've ripened. It turns out they turn red, and when they're red, they're ripe, and then they take them, they soak them, remove that red skin, dry the inside, and then grind it up, and that gives the white pepper. The difference in them is black pepper is more aromatic. It has a more earthy flavor, and maybe a little more woody and piney. White pepper is hotter. Might be why I like it, but it's less aromatic. It doesn't show up as well in your foods like mashed potato or whatever, because they're white, and it's not really white, but it's light. So the answer is yes, they grow on the same plant. They're picked at different times, and they're processed differently. Okay, that was a surprise. I had actually read that before some time ago. And while I was cooking with the white pepper in it the other day, I said, I know a question. Okay, speaking of this, I've got a taste here. Oh yeah. With the crispy crust, this is very, very good. Oh, let's see. I've got just about everything here. I couldn't believe it this afternoon. I came over here to the studio thinking I had quite a bit of the show to put together. But like by 1:30 or so, it was all put together. Admittedly, had I noticed these buttons weren't working, I'd have spent more time on it, especially since I spent the afternoon feeling like this should not be done. I should not be ready to go. Usually it's like 6:30, well, 6:25 before I'm ready to go. But today, it really was 1:30 or maybe a little bit after that, and it was ready to go. I did edit some of it last night. I put one of the tips together last night, and I did the editing on the pre-recording, and I did the editing on the small channel last night, pushing midnight. I know I had a chill afternoon, but I wasn't chilling. It was making me almost more nervous than when I don't have everything done. I did spend some time getting so I could open that window today, and it made a difference in here because it's only 97 degrees and the oven has been on for had been on for an hour. I would like to chat a few minutes if you guys have anything to chat about. One thing that's going to be different with this video, no, I'm not. It's not going to be. I was going to say, I'm also recording it at the same time, and I'm going to edit that recording. But first, I'm going to mark the recording that YouTube does as private, so it would not show. And then I was going to edit my recording so it was shorter and cleaner. The timer would be gone for one thing, but it's really short tonight anyway. And but I'm looking over there and I'm still seeing the start recording button instead of the stop recording button, which means I didn't press it. I did not click on it. I think I'm going to call it a show with that, guys. I don't have anything else. I think the show moved along tonight, maybe faster than I thought it would. But I didn't think it was going to be a full hour-long show anyway. Okay, so I'm going to play the bye-bye and see you all later. I'm planning on having a great rest of my night, and I hope you all do too. So we'll see you next Sunday. And like I said, next Sunday is going to be a pretty good show, and we're going to have a egg potato salad, and I'm making it, so it'll not be quite the same as my wife makes it, though I'll set some aside for her so she can have her bland stuff. And we'll see you all next week.
On the snowy hills where the pine trees stand tall, to a busy town where the Coquis call.